Man, the schedule's tight this year. We're gonna be gone a lot. Are you kidding me? Our flight is delayed again? Now we're not even gonna make it home until tomorrow. Man, we seriously just crashed again? He just ran right into us. Now we're gonna have to work all night long to rebuild this car, and it wasn't even our fault. I could keep going. Weather, schedule changes, last minute testing, the list will always go on. I'm John Walters. I serve on the leadership team with IndyCar Ministry, and I've worked in the IndyCar series for a long time. And I can admit, I have voiced these same complaints, and know firsthand in our racing career, we will always have an abundance of things to complain or whine about. Let's face it, it's just not at the racetrack or at the shop. It's not even just in racing. We all find things to complain about, especially when life gets tough or plans don't go our way. How many of us even thought God just abandoned us altogether? With the way our lives have been going lately, let me read Psalms 13, 1 through 4. How long, Lord, will you forget me? For all time? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I think such sad thoughts? All day long? How long will my enemies win? Look, answer me, Lord. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. My enemies will say, I beat him. My enemies will be very happy when I fall. Sound familiar? It has to me so many times in my life. When things happen that were out of my control. When I pray and God didn't answer me immediately. So many times when I would think, are you even listening, God? Do you even care what I'm going through right now? The Psalm scripture I shared with you tells us David felt the same way we do. He was tempted to believe God had abandoned him because God's deliverance had been so long in coming. You see, in verses 1 and 2, David was depressed. David thought God had left him. This is why he's sharing when he says, hide your face from me. David was full of sorrow. He was so focused on himself, his immediate wants or needs, thinking about who was out to kill him, who doubted his beliefs, who was against him, that he began to doubt the very thing he knew to be true above all else. In verses 3 and 4, David asked God for an answer. David asked for light to my eyes, which means life, for him to physically stay alive. David doesn't want to die. In the situation David was facing, he knew that only God could rescue him. And this stands true for all of us. Only God can save us. You see, nowhere in Scripture does it ever say life will be easy. Actually, in many verses, such as Romans 5:3 through 5, Psalms 46:1, and John 16:33, to name a few, it says the very opposite. Nor in Scripture does God promise us life would seem fair or perfect. Why? Well, because this isn't heaven. We haven't made it to perfect yet. We are sinners living in a sinful world. But if we are believers, we know this is only temporary. Nothing we go through here will ever compare to the promise God has for us. As hard as it is, with each complaint, we have to challenge ourselves to find a blessing in the situation. We have to stop complaining and start trusting in the promises we know to be true. This world is always going to have troubles that we will have to walk through. The more we focus on the negative, the more negative we will see, and the more defeated our minds will become. The more negative we are, the more negativity we will pass on to those around us. In verses 5 and 6, David goes on to say, but I will believe in your love that never fails. My heart will be very happy because you make me safe. I will sing to the Lord. He is so good to me. Just like we're all guilty of, David has his pity party for himself. But he didn't stay in the negative. He quickly shifted his focus to the truth. God still didn't immediately answer David. But David believed and knew that God would answer because the love of God never fails. David's faith does not fail. I challenge you to not allow your faith to fail either. He maintains his trust in God. He relies on the Lord's unfailing love and rejoices in his salvation. David recalls the Lord's goodness to him, and this causes him to sing. The psalm begins on a note of sorrow, but ends with a joyful song. Doubt brings sorrow, faith brings praise. Our job is to believe and to know that everything is in God's time. God bless.